Why do I care so much about politics? Well, politics shapes the world we live in. While I believe every individual on this planet must take personal responsibility for the choices they make, our choices are impacted by those who control our country and our cities. If politicians decide to put corporate interests before the country and its people, then in the end the people will suffer and the nations will be lost as borders crumble. A politician who puts his or her image before the people will in the end make the wrong decisions for the population. My political viewpoint has been shaped over the many decades I've been on this planet. None of us are born conservative or socialist. We are shaped by our environment, education, experiences, and our desire to see change or detach from it all. For many, the world, the continent we live upon, the country we call our nation, and the city we call our home are shaped by those who rule over us. Now, while I fear democracy is an illusion the higher up the food chain you go, I do believe in local politics, and it is for this reason that I always take an interest in local elections, in the hope that those who govern over our cities, our boroughs or wards may do the right thing and provide a comfortable environment for us to thrive in. Now, you may have seen my previous video titled London You Get 2 Votes for Mayor. I picked these two. Now, I got a lot of stick for simply stating who I would vote for. Sometimes I guess to avoid any stick you should remain silent. At the time of making that video, I said I was backing Laurence Fox and Brian Rose. I managed to document Lawrence's manifesto, and I attempted on 2 occasions to get Brian Rose on camera to document his manifesto. As you will recall from that video, I failed. However, I went along to the manifesto launch of Brian Rose several days after the death of the Duke of Edinburgh. I wanted to hear what he had to say and to address some of the questions I had received from my subscribers on my YouTube channel. Many of you could understand why I was backing Laurence Fox, because he was an advocate of free speech, seems to want the best for the UK and London, and speaks out against cancel culture. All themes that I think anyone a subscriber to this channel would recognise. These are qualities that I think are very desirable in a leader, certainly at this point in time. However, I had many an angry email or comment claiming that they didn't like Brian Rose as he came across like a salesman. However, I never think one should be judged on the way one dresses, and many were criticizing him on the way he dressed. In polite circles, if he had no agenda, many would be very happy to see a man dress well. However, when it comes to politics, no matter how you dress, you are going to attract hate. I got behind Brian Rose at the start because I discovered him through his YouTube channel, London Real. On that channel, he was willing to talk to a cross-section of society, from business leaders to philosophers to those who thought outside the box. Now, while I only became aware of London Real over the last 2 years, I wasn't aware of how London Real was founded. It was only in recent weeks that I become aware that Brian co-founded London Real with his jiu-jitsu friend, Nick Gabriel. They parted ways around 8 years ago, and London Real grew to what it is. Now, I or other commentators can't really comment on the breakdown of relationships and business relationships. None of us were there, but it is clear from a recent YouTube video done by Rebel Wisdom, Nick Gabriel isn't pleased with his ex-business partner. However, I will not judge a man on what an ex-business partner says, as I'm certain people I've previously worked with won't always say 100% positive things about me despite my best efforts. I had a barrage of questions in relation to the London Real courses and the London Real free speech platform. Having never taken a London Real course, I can't comment on the value. Personally, all knowledge can be found online or in a library for free. However, mentorship can command a value, and if Brian Rose is mentoring his students, then it's up to his students to put a value on his mentorship. What attracted me to Brian Rose despite all this was his willingness to give a platform to David Icke. He managed to interview this fascinating man over 5 interviews in 2020, and in doing so, the videos were attacked by the mainstream media and taken down by the YouTube gods. All voices should be given a platform, even if you disagree with those voices, because otherwise you're simply creating an echo chamber where only those in the echo chamber can hear those voices. And we can't dismantle their arguments, or we can't dismantle their points. Has the Freedom platform emerged since raising $1 million? As far as I can see, no it hasn't. The David Icke videos are hosted on the London Real website using a Vimeo video player rather than being embedded on YouTube. Is 1 million enough to compete with the multi-billion-dollar Silicon Valley giants? Probably not, and it probably won't stretch far. However, I can see many backers are disappointed they don't have their freedom platform. Is this a reason not to vote for a man who I think clearly loves London? Well, I'll let you be the judge of that. Let's review his manifesto and let's try to answer those questions that many of you had after the manifesto. So stay with me.
Manifesto, hi, how are you? Hey, how are you? You've been really crushing it out there. Nice to meet you. Yeah? Thanks for all the hard work. I appreciate it. Nice shirts. How you doing?
Hi, I'm really good.
Yeah? Thanks for coming out. Thanks for everybody coming out here. It's going to be a great day. We're going to announce the manifesto. I think I've met everybody here, almost, right?
Alex.
Alex, hey, good to
Good
see
to
you.
meet
I know you, of course. What's up? How are you? How are you? Good? Have we met just on Zoom?
Yeah, I see it, man.
Right.
I saw you doing your thing on the posters. I was like, man, I've been watching this dude since he first came over here, man. Yeah, man. You've been doing your thing. Yeah, man. I've been out here 5 years.
Right.
I work with Michael Benapage. You see me this week with him. Yeah, man, you're ill, man. Really love it, man. How's it looking?
All right, man, let's do this.
Here we go. Ready?
All right.
1, 2.
And everything. Dude, thank you, man.
No doubt, man.
Appreciate you, all right?
No doubt, man. Good
All
luck.
right, let's go.
All of the individuals that you see in the background are volunteers who Brian Rose considers part of his inner circle volunteers crew. None of them are paid. All of them that are there because they believe in who Brian Rose is. And for that, you have to commend them for that. They're taking the time out of their day.
All right, here we go. My name is Brian Rose, and I am your next mayor of London. And today is a special day because today we are presenting our manifesto for the future. Come on, give this up. Future. Right? This is a detailed 48-page document of exactly what it's going to take London in a new direction. We couldn't be more excited. Me and my team have spent the last 8 months researching every detail of this city. We've come up with a plan to change everything. We are going to rebuild London's economy. We're going to put 10,000 new officers on the street. I'm going to abolish the congestion charge until 2022, and I'm going to build 50,000 new affordable homes. It's all in here, and it's been costed down to the pound. You've never seen a manifesto like this from any of the parties out there because no one's done the hard work, and no one has really put in the time to find out what the problems are in this city and how to fix them. But it's not just me and my team. I've had help from senior members of the House of Lords, senior members in the Metropolitan Police Department, senior members of TfL. I've had help from architects, from scientists, doctors, entrepreneurs, Nobel Prize winners have helped me create this manifesto, and it literally is a roadmap out of many of the problems we currently face in London, and things are dire here. We're really struggling with issues, and I have a plan to do the 4 things that Londoners care about. First of all, we're going to rebuild the economy. To do that, we need to abolish the congestion charge, get as many people into London as soon as possible, and kickstart our business. We have to zero out business rates. Entrepreneurs are struggling right now. We've got to get them a chance to get their businesses back up and running. But then we're going to have the great celebration. 31 days of street fairs and music festivals, 20 million people coming safely into London to show the world that London is back. We innovate, and we're going to show off the best of our technology, our music, our fashion, our innovation in our industry, and we are going to bring back the economy. It could be our best year ever. We couldn't be more excited about rebuilding London's economy. But next, we're going to make our streets safe. 10,000 new police officers on the street, but not just that. Better trained officers, a fully digitized police force. But that's not enough. Our communities are struggling right now. There's no money going into the community centers, and the mayor says there's none left. I disagree with him. We're going straight to corporates. I'm going to put £100 million directly into 250 community centers and give these young people something to do after school. I'm talking about entrepreneurship, health, and wellness. This is real money going into our communities that's going to help solve our problem with crime. Next, it's transport. We have to rethink LTNs completely. These are poorly thought out, and these are trying to raise millions of pounds of revenue from our citizens during a time of one of the worst recessions ever. It's intolerable. Also, we have to really completely rethink TfL. TfL should be run like a business, not like a charity. And right now it's being bankrupted by the current mayor of London. I know how to run TfL at a profit. I'm going to use something called an infrastructure levy that's going to raise billions of pounds, and it's also going to pay for these police officers on the street, which is going to cost 300 million pounds per year. Lastly, we're going to stop talking about building homes, and we're going to start building homes. 50,000 new modular homes I will build by Christmas this year. Yes, you heard me correct. Christmas this year. That's 4 times as many homes as your current mayor has built in 5 years. I will deliver in 5 months. And I've got the architects with the plans. We know exactly where these homes are going. Modular technology, it's green, it's affordable, less than 100,000 per home. We're gonna make this happen, and the details are in here as well. And it goes on and on and on. I talk about digitizing London, free broadband for all, but not just that, getting the devices in the children's hands so they can use this digitization. I was in Lewisham the other day. 37% of the children are living in poverty. How can they get access to the digital technology they need? I will solve that problem. But it's not just that. I will fight for freedom of speech. Many of you know last year I put my whole business on the line fighting for freedom of speech. And as your next mayor, I will push this forward in a digital sense and a real world to make sure you have the right to protest. You have the right to speak your mind. And finally, when it comes to green initiatives, they are baked all in my policies, from my digitization to what I'm doing with traffic on the streets, and also my plans to have mobile recharging of electric vehicles. It's all in this manifesto. And again, we couldn't be more proud. You can download your copy right now at brianformayor.london/manifesto. We're going to be printing these out and distributing them in the streets. And again, we couldn't be more proud. This manifesto is better than anything you've seen. I've had senior level people in politics that says it's the best one they've ever seen in their life, because all the details are here. It's congruent with who we are as a team. It's congruent with who I am as your next mayor of London. These things will change London if they're implemented. And I'm confident if every citizen has a copy of this in their hands, we will have a landslide victory on May 6th. I'm confident of that fact, because this proves we are the best candidate out there by a factor of 10. And let's be honest, London needs a new voice. It needs fresh ideas and an independent perspective. We're tired of the two-party system. They sign off on each other's failures. Every 4 years you get an illusion of choice. We have to stop that. There's no innovation in that system. We are innovating. Look at this beautiful bus. Look at our digital platforms. We are constantly streaming to you. We are digitally transparent. This is the new wave of politics. And we will take all of our digital networks with us to City Hall, and we will change the game of the way London is led. I want to take this city that I love so dearly, a city that's given me everything. My children were born here. I'm a citizen in this country. I plan on being buried in this great city. We are going to take this city in a new direction. Here are the ideas, the detailed ideas, the costing. All of the logos is in here. Everything you need to know about what we're going to do with London is here. All we need for you is to read it and then join us. On May 6th, we're going to pull off the greatest upset in British political history. We're going to take London in a new direction, and I can't wait to rebuild this economy, build those homes, stop all this knife crime on the streets, and finally run TfL like a business. It's going to change our lives. It's going to make London the greatest city in the world. It's going to show the world what a great city looks like and how we bounce back from a year of tragedy into the future, and that's where I want to take London. So again, thank you so very much. This is our manifesto for the future, and we are so proud of this document. We're so proud of the policies. We're so proud of how we're going to take London to the next direction. We need your help on May 6th. We need you to vote. We need you to tell your friends about this. So share this video, share this manifesto, and tell them there's an independent voice with fresh ideas that wants to take London in a new direction. We'll see you on May 6th. Let's make history. Let's go.
Brian for mayor! Brian for mayor! Let's go! Who let the roads up? Who let the roads up?
Hello, Brian Rose.
What's up?
Yeah, man. We watch you on YouTube.
Love it, man.
He's the man, Brian is.
Thank you, sir.
You're gonna win. You're gonna win.
Appreciate
You're
you.
gonna win. Can I have you on? Okay.
So that was the Manifesto launch of Brian Rose, a very slick operation, incredibly well spoken, a great speaker, to be honest. I mean, but obviously there's some underlying questions that people will have for him. Let's see if we can get those questions.
There's a concept in my manifesto called work out to help out, as opposed to eat out to help out, where actually it's trying to encourage people and subsidize people to go to the gym.
Yeah, improve mental well-being, take ownership of themselves.
People say save our NHS. Imagine if people did daily training, watched what they ate, and thought about smoking and drinking more. We would save the NHS probably 20% of its budget. And yet the government doesn't do that. And I always say, I have 2 young boys, they're 3 and 4 years old. They don't do what I say, they do what I do. So if we see Sadiq Khan, I don't know if he's broken a sweat in the last 10 years. Boris got COVID and got a personal trainer, and that doesn't seem to have done anything for him. So again, they don't live it. So if it's not in their DNA, why would you expect the citizens to do it? I want to have it to be part of the daily life of Londoners. They're going to see me training every day. They're going to see me bringing people into City Hall that are at the top of this field, not just the physical health, but the mental health as well. And that's why my special advisor on health and well-being is Nick Wickcombe, who stood up in Merseyside against the police trying to shut his gym down, and he's going to be down here as one of our advocates. So it's so important. It's something that is not talked about enough in this country.
Oh, definitely.
But we need to make sure that people are rewarded for taking their health into their own hands and not waiting until they're 70-year-old and going to the NHS and saying, guess what, I've got 2 million pounds of problems that I created because I never had enough information.
Flight ticket, sorry. They just want to know, like, what are you obviously going to do about that?
So I've been out to Hounslow, by the way. Great people out there. I mean, I've been to every borough in London. I mean, it's right near Heathrow. It has a lot of business from Heathrow. I don't know about the rubbish situation. I'd like to find out what is the problem. I think a lot of times the mayor, never gets out to the boroughs and doesn't see what his policies do. So when I went to Ealing recently, everyone in the neighborhood literally accosted me and said, we hate these LTNs, we want you to change it, please change it. So like what I plan on doing is 2 things. First of all, being out in the streets and talking to people. Second of all, being on my digital platform so people can tell me what you're telling me. There's a problem with the rubbish here, there's a problem with this here, we don't like the LTNs, we don't like the congestion charge, and then find out a good solution with the council. So that's what I'll promise, is that I'll be someone you can talk to. I'm not going to run and hide. I'm not going to have security teams around me, and I'll be here to listen to the people, even through my digital networks. So I'm always looking for a problem. I can't solve every problem, but I think we can bring solutions to pretty much every problem.
What's your plan for London?
Yeah, so I'm a big fan of freedoms. Freedoms are really important. Last year we fought for freedom of speech because I think you have the right to say what you want to say and to choose what you want to put in your brain, what ideas. This year we fought back because they weren't allowing me to campaign. And I think that's a basic freedom. I think you have the right to choose who you want as a candidate. And I think you have the right to put what you want inside your body, quite frankly. I think you have the right to choose whether to take a vaccine or not, or to put anything in your body. The government allows us to put alcohol and tobacco in our bodies that is killing us, but it doesn't have a problem with that. And yet, when I hear about vaccine passports, it seems to potentially take rights away based on a decision that you should be allowed to make for freedom. So I get worried when the government starts trying to tell you what to do, and I'm concerned about that. So on the face of it, I don't like vaccine passports. I understand that some venues want to get back to business, etc., but I just worry about civil liberties and human freedoms being slowly eroded away, and they are. So that's
Brian, I've been a follower of London Real for the last couple of years. That's what brought me to your attention. I'm a big fan of the fact you support freedom of speech, and I really like your manifesto. The only part of your manifesto I've got a little bit of a quandary with and I understand it's because you're pro-business. You want to get rid of the congestion charge, or you want to reduce it for 6 months or 12 months. I get that, but as an asthmatic, all this traffic is really problematic. Someone's into his health. Probably understand that as well.
So let me speak on that. So when I say abolish the congestion charge until 2022, I'm thinking about the survivability of London. I just don't think, and I know because I have friends that have businesses that are literally dying out there. They'll never be able to come back. I was at my suit maker yesterday, John Kent. He barely hung on to basically 60 years of suit making knowledge through this recession. And if we don't get people back in London en masse, we're going to lose our businesses, which are our culture, which is our world identity. So I really worry about that. From the City of London and finance to the great media we do to the tailors like John Kent. So that's why I want to kill the congestion charge to get as many people in London as possible. Now, I spoke to a senior member at TfL who was responsible for the congestion charge, and he said the congestion charge was never created to generate revenue. And I was like, what do you mean? He said it was never created to generate revenue, but that's what the mayor's doing. He's raising it to pay for his bankrupt TfL system. So you've got something that was supposed to do the right thing, less cars in London, less emissions, and now it's being jacked up to pay for a transport system which I think should be run at a profit. So I want to actually get rid of most traffic in central London. I actually want to get rid of street parking. It's in my manifesto. I don't think anything but electric vehicles and electric buses and electric taxis should be allowed in central London. And I think we got to drop these emissions down. The pollution in London is really bad. You just can't see it. And I train every single day outside, and it affects me. So I've got long-term plans to drop the emissions way down in this city, but I'm also not naive enough to think that if there's no business to be done, then there'll be no revenue to even pay for that. So I do have plans. Again, I have this whole in here as well, this wireless charging system where cars can charge while they're moving, which means everything could be going electric by then. And so yeah, and again, I don't believe in these bolt-on green initiatives. I think the current mayor does these green initiatives. LTN, he sticks a planter there and he doesn't realize that actually increased emissions, increased journey times, killed businesses, and fined the local residents. So again, a lot of people have these pop-up green policies, but they don't really think about it. So it's a great question. It's one I've thought about, but dropping the congestion charge is just so we can get the city back in business this year. And right now it's being used to generate revenue. That's not what it should be for.
Could we, instead of dropping the congestion zone, could we just make public transport free for 6 months, bring everyone into London, that gets business going?
So for my great celebration, I will be making transportation free to get 20 million people in here, just for all the street fairs and make everything kicking off and possible. Look, if the economy bounces back and we've seen GDP jack up 5-10%, I'm happy to bring it back earlier. I just don't want to use it as a revenue generation system. That's the thing. The Labour mayor, I don't think, looks at this place like a business. You know, I asked this question the other day. Why is London running at a profit and TfL's going bankrupt?
Yeah.
If TfL wasn't going bankrupt, we wouldn't have to do all these things. And so I think if we solve the business problem, we can solve the emissions problem. And I don't want pollution in the city. It's ridiculous. I don't want it for myself or my children. But I also don't want to make decisions that are going to look like they're green, but they actually end up hurting us in the long run. So I hope that helps.
No, I really appreciate that. One other address,
Yes.
only because it's been raised a lot of times on my YouTube channel. You have channels like Rebel, there's Coffeezilla.
Welcome, guys, to the Life of Brian.
Look, he's not giving you any money, so piss off!
Last we checked in, Brian was going through a rough time.
It seems to be they're riding on your coattails and they're basically trying to smear you as much as possible. I appreciate everyone gets haters along the way, and the more successful you become, the more haters you probably have. How would you address those, plus the Instagram cancellation of Dorian Yates?
Friends of mine, they donated money and they didn't feel that their questions were answered. So as Brian's not willing to talk about that, he just wants to talk about his campaign from there, I didn't think it was wise to go ahead with the call and associate my name with something people are not happy with. So I won't be doing the call this evening with Brian.
If we don't have people hating us, then we're doing something wrong. And I got comfortable with this a long time ago. I've been doing London Real for 10 years. If you put something out that's groundbreaking, that challenges the status quo, you're always going to get people to question you. And my job is to focus on the future and to lead London in a new direction. So I actually welcome it. I think it's fascinating and interesting that people spend their time looking at our policies, but also I'm a big believer in free speech. So they should do what they want to do. I'm taking London in a new direction. And that's it. That's really all I have to say about that.
Will you be having another Instagram dialogue with Dorian Yates?
I don't know. Honestly, I mean, the things I'm trying to do here with London are so important.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I've got 9.5 million citizens to worry about and really important policies. So, look, you either understand what we're doing or you don't, and that's okay with me. You know, you can either see what we're doing for the vision for the future or not, and that's okay. It's no problem. Anyways, thank you very much.
Brian, honestly, I really appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I do have a quick important question.
Okay, cool. Let me just check one. Sure. Paul?
Well, I'll be honest, I enjoyed talking to Brian there, I have to be honest. First time I've been in front of a lot of cameras before. Normally it's just me in front of my one camera. So my slightly nervous. I'm clearly not meant for public speaking. But I believe he answered the questions. I believe he addressed the issues. You're always going to get haters along the way. And
that's exactly what happens. People hate him, but yes, I did watch Coffeezilla. Yes, I did watch Rebel Freedom, and yes, I saw that Dorian Yates cancelled his Instagram. But if you're not prepared to talk to people, have dialogues with people, then what's the point? Actually, the only one I haven't raised is the Freedom platform. That will be maybe one I can raise in a moment.
All right, I'm jumping on the bus. Make sure he's not locked in there. All right, thank you all. All right, see you next time.
Thank you very much.
There's only so many questions you can think of when put on the spot, and journalism is not my profession. Maybe one of the reasons I was drawn to Brian Rose, other than his advocacy of free speech, was that we had similar careers. We both worked in the City of London and also worked at the same company. We both worked for the interdealer broker ICAP, although I would never say we worked in banking. Our clients were all traders at banks. We facilitated their banking needs by providing liquidity to the market. It turns out both Brian and I were at ICAP at the same time for a period of time, although I must admit our paths never crossed as far as I can remember. In my mind, the election has already been decided. Would I prefer Brian Rose to win over Sadiq Khan? You bet your life I would. However, my YouTube channel and my blog has only ever existed to voice my opinions and to try and tell the truth to the best of my knowledge. With Brian Rose, I see a man who loves London and wants London to thrive. Whether that makes for a great mayor, that is for the Londoners to decide. And while many people have their reservations on Brian Rose, this is the beautiful thing about politics. It's up for you to make your decision and not for me to tell you who to vote for. In my videos, I've simply shown candidates that I like, and I've tried my best to show their pros and their cons. If you want to do more research, please go and do more research, because that is how democracy works. What I do know is the terrorist sympathizer Sadiq Khan has the bloc left vote in the bag, as well as the bloc Muslim vote in the bag. It is sadly for this reason that I think Londoners will have to endure another term of Sadiq Khan, the man who is afraid to face the public, the man who thinks terrorism is part and parcel of living in a big city, and the man who would rather police mean tweets than the streets of London. Anyway, thank you for watching. If you like this content, do click subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video. Happy voting.